Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back with some NFL preseason DFS picks for Friday, August 19th. FanDuel DraftKings lineup strategy is going to give you 5 plays that you want to consider for tonight's lineups. Preseason DFS. A lot of people say, I can't believe you degenerates are playing preseason DFS, but it's some of the biggest edges. We've had some big wins. I've had some big wins. A lot of our members have done really well over the last week and a half, thanks to our tools at Occupy Fantasy. So let's just jump right into it. Let's give you 5 plays that you need to consider for tonight's games. This information is out there. It's tough to find sometimes. A lot of the tougher to find information is in our daily plug at Occupy Fantasy. But again, you don't have time to do all this research, which is why we do it for you. So 5 plays that you need to consider. Let's start at quarterback. And tonight, it doesn't look like, at least as of now, and I'm recording this around 12:30 p.m. Eastern, that any one quarterback should see significantly more snaps than any other quarterback on the slate tonight. There are a decent amount of quarterbacks slated for a half of work, and which means we have to look at the system that they're in, their talent, the players that they're playing with, other top plays, because we can't just rely on playing time expectations. But I'll give you 2 guys that should be pretty popular based on their ability, their previous production, and their expected half of football tonight. The first one is the Green Bay Packers, and that's Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers will sit again. They have just 3 quarterbacks on the roster. Danny Etling will probably get the second half. I guess there's a possibility Love gets a little more action this week. We don't have any historical trends to go off of here because this week last year, Jordan Love had an injured shoulder, sat out, and their quarterback 3 played the entire game. But Love should play a half tonight and has one of the highest ceilings on the slate in a half of football. We saw it last week. We've seen him in preseasons before. Jordan Love, going to be one of the most popular quarterbacks on the slate tonight, especially once you consider he has a decent amount of guys that you can stack with him. Another one who surprised some last week by playing the entire game is Bryce Perkins of the Los Angeles Rams. They cut Luis Perez during the week, and I think early on, most of us thought, wow, Perkins is going to get another full game of work. However, Sean McVay came out and said that John Wolford is going to get the first half, Perkins is going to get the second half. Just know that Sean McVay has changed his mind in the middle of a game for preseason before. So there's always a possibility that Perkins plays more than a half. He can rush and he can throw, does it all. Scored 25 points in the full game last week, which is more than some regular season quarterbacks will score this year. But Perkins, with the stacking options they have, should be another popular option, going to play at least a half. Now, running back is different and pretty difficult tonight. There are a couple teams, Green Bay, the Rams, Carolina to an extent, maybe New England, that have some injuries in their backfield, but we don't know exactly who's going to play, how long. No running back is going to get like a half of work tonight, at least not what we expect this early in the day. So not really any standout running back plays. We're going to decipher it all, put it in the daily plug for you, so make sure you check that out. Links in the description below. Instead, let's talk about wide receivers. And 2 teams stick out from a wide receiver playing time perspective. That's the Los Angeles Rams and the New England Patriots. If you played preseason DFS before, if you paid attention last week, you realize why. They don't play their starters very much. They play their backups a ton. Let's go to our snap count dashboard at occupyfantasy.com. And if we look at this year, week 1, wide receiver. Remember, this dashboard dates back a few years. You can always look for historical playing time trends. You can see how much guys played last week, how many opportunities they got, how many targets and air yards they got. We'll check that out in a second. But if you look last week, Rams receivers Lance McCutcheon, Landon Akers led the league in 87% snaps played, which is crazy for preseason. And then if you go down a little more, J.J. Koski, 70%. They played most of their guys, 3 or 4 guys, more than half, basically 3/4 of the game. That same plan is going to happen. McVay has done that once again. He does it pretty much every preseason. We can expect McCutcheon, who had 2 touchdowns last week, going to probably be the most popular receiver on the slate. Akers, Koski did get banged up in practice. Let's monitor pregame warm-ups to make sure he suits up. But the Rams receivers are guys that you want to target. And if you look on the flip side, the New England Patriots, Trey Nixon, 82% of the snaps last week. Christian Wilkerson, 74%. However, Wilkerson sustained a concussion in their joint practices. He will not play. Opens up even more opportunity for the Patriots. Little Jordan Humphrey, 71% of the snaps. Going to be the same this week. There is one key difference, though. If we go back to the DraftKings page and go to quarterbacks, Mike Reese of Patriots beat reporting legend did say this morning, Friday morning, that Mac Jones and the starters will get some work. How much, we don't know. Fortunately, Patriots reporters get good information, especially for preseason. So we'll probably find out before the game starts how long they're expected to go. If we go by trends, last year, Week 2, the starters played roughly a quarter. So I think we can expect that here. So if Mac Jones plays a quarter, that means, let's go to New England Patriots receivers. Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, maybe Nelson Aguilar. Those guys get about a quarter of work, which means we won't see 100% snaps for Trey Nixon and Lil Jordan Humphrey like we might have expected based on last week's work when the starters sat. But once those guys leave the game, it's all Trey Nixon. It's all Lil Jordan Humphrey. It's also all, let's not forget about him, Josh Hammond. Going to play a ton of snaps this week as well. If we go back to the opportunity dashboard, and here's the snap counts. Let's look at target data. Who had the most air yards in week 1, the most targets in week 1? And for the guys who are playing on this slate, Christian Wilkerson, 129 air yards on 12 targets, led the league with 12 targets last week. So a lot of opportunity now that he's missing that game. Who else? Trey Nixon should be popular tonight, as he should be. 112 air yards on 8 targets last week, even more to go around tonight. Who else? Green Bay, Romeo Doubs, 7 targets, only played 34% of the snaps, had 100 air yards, had the touchdown, has been lighting up camp, has been moving up fantasy draft boards. He'll be popular once again tonight as well. We expect around similar playing time. Still some injuries in the Green Bay receiving core. Starters aren't expected to play, so Doubs should get another, 34, 40% of the snaps. Anybody else we should be looking at? Let's keep the secret between you and I. Jalen Camp, 92 air yards last week, going to go under the radar. He's a great play tonight. Keep that in mind. I think that's it. There's some other guys, but the Rams and Patriots situations are the ones that you need to keep an eye on. Speaking of the Rams, again, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for the Rams tonight. One guy that is going to go under the radar, I haven't seen his name mentioned much yet in the industry. Let's go back over to DraftKings. Let's go to the Rams. He didn't play last week. It's Jacob Harris. He did suit up for the scrimmage this week, return to practice earlier in the week. If he can go, and it sounds like he will, we'll have to monitor warm-ups here to see. But Jacob Harris, outrageous height-adjusted speed scores coming out of college. Just a freak athlete. Played in the preseason last year. Did very well in the preseason last year. Key here is he has been working pretty much exclusively with wide receivers in Rams camp. So he's going to play receiver tonight. We already know they only have 3 or 4 guys. Koski might not play. So Harris, 50% plus of the snaps in an athletic role at receiver, and we get to play him at tight end. Praying, fingers crossed, the industry is sleeping on this one, and we get him relatively low owned. But Jacob Harris, let's monitor. He's going to be our top tight end play tonight. Huge ceiling. Here's the thing. Even if you play him and we don't get word and it turns out he doesn't play and he scores 0 points, that's not going to be that much worse than any of the other guys we pick a tight end in preseason. They might score 4 to 6 points. Maybe they catch a touchdown and score 8 points. It's not a huge difference. It's not going to kill you. However, Harris has the upside to be the highest scoring receiver / tight end on the slate, and that's worth sticking around to play him in tonight's game. So that'll do it for this video. 5 guys you should be looking at for tonight's games. If you want playing time expectations, injury reports, camp connections, and stacking options, playing time trends, historically, who we expect to play more based on historical trends, not just who played last week, targets and air yards, everything you need is at occupyfantasy.com. Those links are in the description below. It's an invaluable resource and hands down the most thorough research you can find for preseason DFS. So if you like what you saw, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're doing these videos every day of the preseason. We'll have videos during the regular season as well. If you like it, give us a thumbs up. Any questions, comment on the video below. If you have any questions, we happily will answer them in the video, in the comment section. Or more importantly, join our Discord server, occupyfantasy.com/Discord. Chat with us, ask us questions throughout the day. There's going to be a lot of moving parts pre-lock. We'll post updates in Discord and in the plug. You want to be a part of that. So occupyfantasy.com/Discord. All right, I'm Brian Jester, Occupy Fantasy. Appreciate you listening, and good luck in tonight's NFL Preseason DFS slate.